Welcome back to My Cupcake Addiction. I'm Elise and today I'm going to be sharing with you my foolproof, amazingly delicious basic sugar cookie recipe. This is actually the same recipe from my new cookbook, Sweet Celebration, so if you have a copy of that, you can actually bake along. That one's in stores now. I'll leave a link down below. But if you guys have been looking for those sugar cookies that you see online that are super easy to decorate, they have a long shelf life, and they don't stretch, expand, or grow out of shape in the oven, this is the recipe for you. To make your sugar cookies, you'll need plain or all-purpose flour, a little baking soda, some salt, some butter that should be softened, not melted, not cold, granulated or caster sugar, as fine as you can get it without being powdered, 1 extra large egg, a little bit of vanilla extract. As always, I'm going to leave the printable recipe and all of your quantities and conversions on the MyCupcakeAddiction.com website. I'll leave a link to that post down below. Let's get started. First thing we're going to do is add our softened butter. That was very well done. That was like a cooking show. And then our sugar. You want to beat those together on high speed for at least 5 minutes until they're super light and fluffy. Once your mix is nice and light and fluffy, you can add in your vanilla and also your egg. And yes, I am actually cooking along with my cookbook. It's actually kind of nice not to have to go and print my own recipes out, because while I know them all, I do always have them on hand in case I forget along the way. There's a lot. I feel like I wrote this cookbook for me as much as I wrote it for you guys. We're going to whiz the egg and vanilla through for about 30 seconds until it's really well combined, and make sure you're scraping down the sides here. I'm going to whisk my baking soda, not baking powder, or you will get spread, and then also my salt into my flour. I'm going to sift over 1/3 of my flour mixture. There we go. Light, powdery, floury mixture. I'm going to mix that through with my electric mixer, just on a low speed to start with, or it's going to give me a little dust storm everywhere. I'm going to mix through a 2/3 of my flour mixture and mix that through on a low speed. You can hear my beaters starting to struggle even now. In the book, I'll sometimes refer to a stand mixer as opposed to an electric mixer. It's because I recommend you use a stand mixer when it's like this thick. It's a little hard on the electric mixers, but it can still be done. Just be nice to them. I kind of let them go just in mid-air for a minute so that I can get as much of that batter as I can off those beaters. And then in goes my final third. Beat that until it's just combined. And then you want to just scrape off anything that's still on your beaters. We don't want to lose any of our batter. It's going to look like kind of crumbling sand, but it all comes together in the kneading. So don't stress if you're thinking it's looking a little dry. I'm going to dump my mixture onto the bench, always the messiest part. So make sure the bench is clean and prepare to get kind of messy. So you just want to bring this together and we're going to knead it. So especially in the beginning, I sort of knead it by just bringing it all into the center and then folding it over itself, bringing it in, folding it over, bringing it in, folding it over. And it should end up looking like a really nice caramelly colored Play-Doh. Depending on where you live, the climate when you're making this and the type of ingredients you use, some of them will perform slightly differently. It can even be down to the size egg. So really you're going by feel here, but if you feel you need to moisten your dough up at all, just a little bit of extra softened butter will do the job. I'm going to knead this until it's all holding together really nicely and I can't see any streaks of any of my ingredients. So it should look like one solid caramelly colored ball of delicious cookie dough. Kind of looks like a pizza dough, but it tastes better. This needs to chill for a minimum of 20 minutes and I recommend anywhere up to an hour. To speed up the chilling process, I always divide my dough into 2 halves. So just kind of squish it out like a bit of an oval, pat it down and slice it in half. This does a couple of things. This actually makes the rollout process a lot easier because I'm not defrosting or warming up the whole batch at once, but it also stops my dough from having to cool this huge big chunk and it allows it to cool through the center a lot faster. It'll save your wait time. Now you want to wrap that very, very firmly in plastic wrap. So I wrap it once in one direction and then once in the other direction and off into the fridge it goes. This dough actually also freezes up really nicely. So if you want to pop it in the freezer, if you don't use it all, then you can just bring it back to room temperature by leaving it on the bench for about an hour before you want to use it. This is one of my basic recipes where I show you guys the fundamentals that you need to recreate some of my crazy over-the-top creations. When I do these videos, I like to help troubleshoot the process a little bit. With this one, the biggest mistakes that people make is A, not using baking soda and using baking powder, which causes cookies to spread. B, not chilling that dough, both before they roll it and before it goes into the oven. The rolling and cutting process here can warm the dough up. So if in doubt, put the entire tray of cut-shaped cookies back into the fridge for 15 minutes before they go into the oven. These guys are going off into the fridge for at least 30 minutes where they can chill out. Once your dough is completely chilled, it should be nice and solid. You want to take a little bit more of that plain flour or all-purpose flour, sprinkle down a generous amount and roll out your dough. Make sure that you keep this moving by sliding your hands underneath, picking it up and just turning it around. That helps you get a really even roll, but it also prevents it from sticking to the bench. I like to slide mine onto a piece of parchment and then throw the whole piece of parchment onto a tray and cut out shapes. I'm going to do circles, but you guys can use cookie cutters or you can freehand. I have made some amazing creations using cookies, both as individual cookies, surprise piñata cookies, and as part of cakes to add structure and support. Once you've cut out your shapes, remove the excess and try not to move the shape around too much after it's being cut. Again, cut as many as you can out of that first roll and try to only re-roll this dough or re-knead this dough as few times as possible, as you'll get a tougher cookie each time. Before these go into the oven, I am going to chill them for 15 minutes so they're really nice and cold so that my dough doesn't spread and my cookies don't lose their shape. They're going to go off into a moderate oven, so 350F or 175 Celsius for 7 to 10 minutes until they just start to color around the outside edges. When your cookies come out of the oven, leave them on the tray for about 10 minutes and then you're going to remove them and pop them onto a cooling rack. Those ones you now want to let completely cool before you do any decoration. They will get harder as they cool, and once they do, they're a really nice, solid, firm cookie. You can bake these up to a week in advance and leave them in an airtight container. Don't refrigerate them. You can decorate them with fondant, you can decorate them with royal icing, you can decorate them with melted chocolate or candy melts, or add some sprinkles on a little bit of store-bought frosting and eat them as they are. I love basic recipes, but more than anything, I love turning them into amazing creations. If you guys want to check out some of the really cool things that I've used this very same basic sugar cookie dough for, I'll leave a link down below to some of my all-time favorites, like my paint illusion cake or my Skittles rainbow cake where the rainbow is a cookie, or some of my all-time favorite piñata surprise inside cookie creations. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, make sure you do for new videos every week. And as always, thanks very much for watching.